This episode of Kind of Funny Gamescast is brought to you by Movement Watches. That's, MVMT watches. It was founded on the belief that style shouldn't break the bank. The watchmaker's goal is to change the way consumers think about fashion by offering high-quality, minimalist products at revolutionary prices. We got ours. They're legit. One, Kevin Coelho, says that his is sexy as hell, and it fits really well. Those are paraphrased quotes, but it kind of gets the spirit across. The company started by two broke college kids that wanted to wear stylish watches but couldn't afford them, so they started their own watch company. Kind of sounds like when we left IGN to do our own thing because, we wanted to do our own thing. I respect that. Movement Watches starts at just $95. At a department store, you're looking at hundreds of dollars. Movement figured out that by selling online, they're able to cut out the middleman and retail markup, providing the best possible price. We're talking classic designs, quality construction, style minimalism. Over 500,000 watches have been sold in over 160 countries. Here's the deal. You can get 15% off today with free shipping and free returns by going to mvmtwatches.com/kinda. The watch is a really clean design. Seriously, Kevin's been getting compliments. Everybody's loving him. Now's the time to step up your watch game. Go to mvmtwatches.com/kinda. Join the movement. That's a tagline I like a lot. The next topic, I want to talk about Bethesda and game reviews.
A hot topic.
Here's a statement from Bethesda themselves. At Bethesda, we value media reviews. We read them, we watch them, we try to learn from them when they offer critique, and we understand their value to our players. Earlier this year, we released Doom. We sent review copies to arrive the day before launch, which led to speculation about the quality of the game. Since then, Doom has emerged as a critical and commercial hit and is now one of the highest rated shooters of the past few years. With the upcoming launches of Skyrim Special Edition and Dishonored 2, we will continue our policy of sending media review copies one day before release. While we will continue to work with media, streamers, and YouTubers to support their coverage, but before and after release, we want everyone, including those in media, to experience our games at the same time. We also understand that some of you want to read reviews before you make your decision, and if that's the case, we encourage you to wait for your favorite reviewers to share their thoughts. Skyrim Special Edition releases globally on October 28th for PlayStation, blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
They played us like a fiddle. Bringing out that Doom, everybody's like, is it going to work? Is it going to be bad? Oh my God, it's amazing. Mm-hmm. Maybe things are changing. Maybe getting a game the day before review or the embargo or release isn't the end of the world. And then they're like, we're going to roll the dice. You'll never know what's happening anymore with Bethesda. And they're laughing all the way to the bank.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the conspiracy theorist in me says that this was the intention for a long time, that Bethesda was going to do this, that Doom was intentionally the first game to do it with because they knew Doom was great. They're not stupid. They made it seem based on trends in gaming for years. We've been in this industry for a long time that when you get a game close to or at release, it's typically terrible. It's not even typically like okay. It's typically a bad game.
Yeah, they're hiding it. They don't want you to know. They don't want you to cancel your pre-order. They don't want the reviews to get in the way.
So call me a conspiracy theorist if you might. That's fine. But I think that was intentional that they did. That they did that with Doom, and I tweeted that after this. That said that it was actually a stroke of genius on their part because it sowed perpetual seeds of doubt in people's minds on if now a game being given a day before release or at release is going to be bad. Now we don't know. Like with Bethesda, we just don't know now. And actually, we were just talking about 2K. 2K is the same. Civ 6 and Mafia 3 were both held until right before release, and Civ 6 was awesome. Mafia, not so much. So again, they're sowing the seeds. I think it's a very deliberate and from a business standpoint, a very smart thing for them to do. I see a lot of people talking about this as anti-consumer, and I simply don't agree. There are three parties to this. There's the publisher / developer, there's the media / influencer / whatever, and then there's the gamer. This is a plus for publishers and developers. This is a negative for media and like YouTubers and stuff, and it's completely neutral for gamers. That's the way I look at it. The only way that this would really affect you as a gamer is if you absolutely, positively must buy a game at launch. And for that, I say that's your problem. Like these guys are controlling their games. They have every right to do that. It's going to hurt media. It's going to hurt clicks. It's going to hurt impressions. It's going to hurt reviews. It's going to hurt that ecosystem. And there's a lot of hand-wringing about that. And then everyone's saying, well, it's anti-consumer. I'm like, no, it's not. No one's forcing you to buy the game. Just wait. It says it right here. No, I'm not trying to be an apologist for them, but it says it. We also understand that some of you want to read reviews before you make a decision. And if that's the case, we encourage you to wait for your favorite reviewers to share their thoughts. Wait. Like, I I don't get it. You know, like I don't.
It's change. It's the internet reacting to change, and it never ever responds well to change, regardless if it's a good change or a bad change. If it's a season pass or if it's just DLC, everyone freaks out and the sky is falling, and that's just the latest one here. I give them credit for coming out and saying this is our thing, rather than just quietly continuing to not put out the games until the day before, and every time have IGN and Kotaku and X site put up a thing of like, here's why you're not getting our review on time, here's what's happening. They're coming out and they're saying that, all right, cool, the market has changed, landscape has changed, this is how we're doing it. You're making a great point that no one's putting a gun to anybody's head to pre-order to go out and do this. Like,
nope.
You should be able to wait. And I understand that, again, though, is a change from the culture we live in. The culture we live in is people screenshotting their PS4 with the countdown clock of how until this game unlocks, right? And for me, it's the way I deal with movies, right? There's a lot of movies I want to see. There's a lot of things we'll go see at midnight to go do reacts for. But if I'm interested in a movie, but I'm not going to see it at midnight, I'll wait through opening weekend, see what my friends say, see what reviews say before I go invest hours into that, right?
Yeah.
Granted, that's just 2 hours versus, the everlasting gobstopper that is Skyrim.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting because I feel like there's valid points on every side of this because something needs to be said about the media now. Like, what's the quality of the reviews going to be? We were all at IGN. We know how that works, and we know. And I'm interested in what you think about this. It's just like, so now they have a day to review it, which is
they have longer than a day. They have as much time as they want to take.
But that's the problem is because of the ecosystem of the minus to the media is that they need to get the views, they need to get the clicks, they need to be the first to put a review up. Like there is an absolute thing of who's first, who's second, who's third, and then when you're the 10th person putting up a review, it doesn't matter. Who it doesn't affect is people like us. Where it is, we're just going to play it when we want to play it and how we want to play it and discuss it,
Well, I disagree that it doesn't affect us. I was talking about this to someone yesterday because people were like being like, well, why are you defending these corporations? I'm like, I'm not necessarily. I'm saying where they're coming from. I'm not defending it. I want to be very clear. Like, if I was a publisher, I'm not sure that I would want to do this, yet I understand the business rationale behind it. And it probably does nothing but benefit them to do this.
Oh my God, 100%.
But it is not their problem. It is not Bethesda's problem if GameSpot can't get their review up in time. They don't care. And it's becoming clear that these publishers are caring less and less about traditional media as time goes on, right? But it does materially affect us because it might take us a week now. We might have had Mafia 3 impressions earlier than we did, which might have saved some problems, especially because the game wasn't very good. But that's, again, not their problem. This is why I'm saying that this is a total neutral effect on gamers. Like, you don't have to pre-order games. You don't have to play the game the day it comes out. You don't. If you keep saying that you have to, then frankly, you're the one that they're trying to prey upon. What
it comes down to with this is this says that they did research. There is data that backs up that positive reviews don't matter. Negative reviews do matter. So it's just like, why would they kind of work with that when they could make more money? They're a business.
And it's the thing, to the point that I think you bring up that for me is a big one, right? Is like the reviews will suffer. My problem with that argument is, and this is me throwing a stone at the IGN I worked at that I was a part of. IGN, we had Skyrim originally before release. No one caught that the PlayStation 3 version was bugged. Because that's not how you review games. You review one, you play an hour of the other versions. You're like, all right, graphics are a little less, whatever, It's not, there isn't a scientific process. There isn't this checks and balances. There isn't a red team. It is. And I think what this is a reflection of is the fact that the jig is up on a lot of those sites, that the jig is up on the traditional games journalism module, right? Like, if you're one of the people that they're talking about here, right, of like, okay, don't pre-order, just wait for your favorite person to do it. Watching a Twitch stream for 30 minutes to make sure it's running fine, that it is the Skyrim you remember, or Dishonored 2 is going to look cool and have cool things. That gives you enough information to go out and pre-order in that second, instantly, on your PlayStation, on Steam, whatever. Wherever you are, you're a click or a button press away from going to get that game. And you don't need necessarily, unless you're that person or that reviewer, I do want to see what Lucy O'Brien says about this game 40 hours from now. And that's what they're talking about and what the new market is.
And you can wait. That's the thing is and that's why the ironic thing to me is a lot of that, the vast majority of the hand wringing and the fucking dying on the Twitter crosses that I was seeing about this were from games media, not from gamers. I made my point clear. Some people disagree with it. Most people actually agreed with it completely because I was just like, there seems to be shady ass business shit going on one side. Obviously, they have a fiduciary obligation to their shareholders. Or if they're privately held, to whoever holds, when we are shareholders of our company, they don't care. They want to make money. That's all they care about. Like, people are absolutely delusional if they think that these guys are making games for art. They're making games because they want to make money. right? So they're, like you said, they're looking at the data and they say, well, Fallout 4 was probably what they were looking at, frankly. And they're like, we got that game out in October. That gave everyone enough time to craft their things, whether they liked it or not. Some people really liked it. Some people thought it was okay or whatever. It probably damaged the game. And they probably looked at that and was like, we don't have to do that anymore. Like, we're not going to do that anymore. Especially, and they can get away with it with Skyrim because it's a known quantity. Dishonored 2 is not going to be the depth of an open world RPG. But to me, like, the hand wringing and the dying on the cross over this really comes from a disingenuous place, in my opinion. And I'm talking about we're part of the media. We are a segment of this games press. We are, in our own way. You're afraid of losing clicks. You're afraid of losing prestige. You don't want to be like second, third, or fourth, or fifth, like you were saying. You like the old days of everyone going at the same time. And my argument to that is that's fine. I appreciate that and I respect that. But no one owes you anything. So, like, they don't owe your audience anything.
The game's
They don't
changed.
owe this audience anything. They don't owe us. We don't have Dishonored. We don't have any of these games. We're probably not going to play them anyway. But, like, when Fallout 5 comes out, or Elder Scrolls 6 is probably going to be first, and we get that game the day of, it's like, well, that sucks for us because we were really excited about it. We really want to play. We want to share our thoughts. But it's their game. It doesn't really affect the bottom line for them, and it probably only benefits them. And it really only affects gamers because they're impatient, because of the pre-order culture, because no one wants to, like, if you really want to wait, they said, like, if you know you're going to like Dishonored, you like Dishonored, you're going to buy Dishonored 2, go buy it. I'm sure it's going to be great. If you can't wait a week for people to get their stuff up, then that's fine. Then don't. But that's not their problem, like, and that's, I hate to say it, but it's from their point of view, smart business. Whether or not we agree with it or not as gamers, whether or not we agree with it as media, to me, I just feel like it's all for naught. Like, they're protecting their products as best as they can. And part of me feels like I don't really blame them because there is a lot of negativity. Sometimes we spout it. Sometimes other people spout it about a lot of games, so they can get Dishonored 2 out there a week before so everyone can prepare their how Dishonored 2 sexist piece or whatever the fuck they're going to do to assassinate it. Like I get it. I get the conundrum of the PR.
The big thing about it, though, I think that is interesting that you keep saying we're part of it, we're in media, and it would hurt us. I don't think it would because we're that next generation of what games press, games media, whatever you want to call it, is, right? In the way that we've built an audience, that's you out there, the viewer, the listener, that is totally down for us to talk about, first off, the few hours of Civ you've played. We're way past the Battlefield embargo when we talk about it. People are here because they like our opinion. They don't care how relevant it is. We're not really chasing it, in terms of, like, we put up the Titanfall thing and we put it up with the embargo of everybody else, but that's because they offered that to Alfredo and it didn't do remarkably better than any of our other content, right? It's because we have the same audience coming back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. The games press that are freaking out about it are the ones that are seeing it change. Their business model changed, right? And being drastically different. And where does that leave a GameSpot and IGN, a GameSite X that for years has been built on? We will have the review as early as possible, as quickly as possible, so you can make an informed decision.
Yeah.
Whereas now the informed decision is, if you're a kind of funny person, maybe you wait to see if we like it or not, right? Like Oceanhorn. Now, granted, nobody was super excited about it, but when we started talking about it, and now people still talk to me about Oceanhorn every day on Twitter, and because they know that I'm interested, and that's the kind of audience we have. Whereas for an IGN, where it is like, pre-launch coverage is really big, then the day of the review, and then dramatic drop-off, unless we're talking about a wiki or something, which is a different coverage opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, I think the argument on the other side of it, reading a whole bunch of different people's opinions, is that so the same people are going to these media sites for the preview coverage, and they rely on them for preview coverage, so it's kind of like biting the hand that feeds. I mean, we've seen this kind of fall off for the last couple of years, and especially being at IGN, I brought this up, I think, recently on Colin and Greg Live when we were talking about this, but there's game developers with the ecosystem, they are now also delivering the message for whatever they want. If all of a sudden they're like, we're not giving IGN the trailer, we're not giving Game Trailer, or whoever, the game trailers, that's on them. They could put it on their own site, get millions of views. The Nintendo Switch video is a perfect example. What's it like? 20 million views? That's Nintendo. Nintendo's making money on that. Why give that to IGN when they know that they're going to cover it? They know that they're going to talk about it because those sites get the clicks from it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. The middleman's having been cut out for a long time, and it might not benefit the consumer. I mean, that's up for debate, right? But, like, from a business perspective, it makes perfect sense why Ubisoft has their own blog, why EA has their own thing going on, why Bethesda, the guy who wrote this used to be the editor-in-chief of Games Radar. Like, now he works at Bethesda. They are getting talent to be able to get this stuff out there. Obviously, it's through the lens of a skewed publisher perspective. My only argument is, and you brought up the cycle of previewing. That's the ironic thing. That's where it hurts media, and that's why I think there's a lot of hand-wringing. The only way to fight back from their perspective is to further hurt themselves.
Right.
And that would be like, if I was editor-in-chief of Kotaku, I'd be like, fine, we're not previewing your games anymore. And I would be like, fine, we're not previewing Bethesda games anymore.
Right.
You're not going to use this as a marketing tool to get your shit out there if you're not going to give us the game at the end of the cycle.
Let me jump in here because what I was doing is bringing up Jeff Gerstmann. He had a really interesting series of tweets. I'd like to read them from last night, right? The issue with Bethesda's review policy is that they're more than happy to use those same outlets to get the word out via preview coverage. They want it both ways. They want the wait and see approach that naturally comes with previews, but won't face the music at the end. Lame. Then he goes on and somebody is like, is this a thing of who will blink first? Jeff says, this would probably just lead to more paid influencer campaigns, and I'm not sure the audience would care. They'd get the coverage elsewhere. And then somebody's like, they need to take a stand, not give them coverage. Taking a stand like that only hurts your audience. Ultimately, the job of the media is to ignore the backroom bullshit and do the job. They'd get the marketing elsewhere, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, we live in a weird hybrid thing that cares slightly less about timely reviews than traditional outlets. So I feel insulated from this. But the longtime reviews editor in me is like, fuck this, pull all previews, don't let them buy ads on our site ever again either. It's this weird mix-up, right, of how it does work. And that is the thing, Kotaku could totally be like, fine then, fuck you, we're out. And Bethesda would be like, cool, the 30 influencers are going to beat down the door to come preview the next Skyrim, the next Fallout, the next Dishonored, that they'll come through, they'll play those, and they'll put up their videos, and they'll be 30 minutes. And again, that's always the thing that comes down that's interesting about pre-ordering a game, buying a game, however you want to look at it, get reviews, right? I feel like we live in a day and age, and this, of course, there's exceptions to this rule, where when I pre-order something, when I know I'm super excited for something, it's generally based on seeing a lot of footage, right? Mafia, there weren't the Let's Plays, there weren't the stuff, and we talked about that leading up to it, and the fact that we haven't seen much of this game, but there's a trailer, and that looked cool, and okay, blah, blah, blah. Granted, that game comes out, it's not what we wanted, it's not where it went. But I feel like when you're seeing somebody, like when you and I went and played Watch Dogs, and we sat down and played it for, I don't know, 2 hours or whatever, and I was like, fuck, this is fun. I don't know how it's going to come together, but I like the open world part of it. I don't know about the story or anything. I know what I'm getting into over that. And I feel like there's so many chances now for a viewer, a listener to take and think of like, all right, cool. Fucking Polygon just played 15 hours of Final Fantasy and they think it's great so far. And they put in there, maybe it all falls fucking apart. Yeah. And that's the risk you run. But even like, something as stupid as Lego Dimensions, there's all these streams out of like, what you're getting for the most part.
Exactly. I mean, I think that the sad reality of this is you paying $60 for a game doesn't guarantee that game is good. You're not paying $60 for a great experience. You're paying $60 for that game, and it's up to you to educate yourself and make those decisions. Yeah. When it comes to pre-ordering and all that, it's always been this way. You can pre-order games like I've been burned before. Devil May Cry 2 comes to mind.
Superman 64.
pre-ordered that game. Excited for it, came in, and that was one of those things where I've told the story before, but I was at EB, and the guy I was buying it from was like, dude, you see the reviews? And he pointed at the Game Informer. I opened it up, and it was like 5.5 or whatever, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, I felt so burned. I was like, I can't believe it. I can't believe this. Yeah. But I mean, it happens, and I decided to pre-order the game. And I think that back then it was a little different because pre-orders
limited quantities
and you were actually guaranteeing that your game I wanted. I've been waiting for so long, and the previews did get me hyped for it. And then I feel like over the next couple of years, there was really cool, enticing pre-order bonuses. Now we're at this place where pre-order bonuses are a norm. Pre-order, like exclusive pre-order bonuses here and there. And I feel like it's on the developers and publishers to come up with pre-order incentives that are worth it if they want us to pre-order.
The pre-order incentive nowadays, and what Colin's talking about, what we're all talking about, what the statement is talking about, isn't anymore you're getting a skin, you're getting a fanny pack, you're getting whatever. The pre-order bonus now is the fact that you get to be part of the conversation.
Yes.
We are such a culture of, I got something, let's Twitch it, let's tweet it, let's do this. How many people did we see this past Monday of recording who are like, holy fucking shit, I can't even go 12 hours without you guys spoiling The Walking Dead, because that's the kind of people we are, and that's where this fervor comes from. That's why I don't think it matters for a Skyrim. Holy fucking shit. Okay, we know Skyrim. Does it run? Can I toss a bunch of cheese wheels? But like for Dishonored 2, if you're like even vaguely interested in Dishonored, you want to be talking, you want to be twitching, you want to be doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this, there's a lot of negatives that comes with this, but I do think that there are positives. Like I remember when Watch the Throne came out, the Kanye Jay-Z album a couple years ago. It was one of the first albums in years that had the hype that it did in terms of the rap genre, and it didn't leak. The only way to get it was released on iTunes, and everybody got it at the exact same time. And the conversation around that was so different than any other thing. Yeah. Usually albums leak, people start getting it here and there, then it officially comes out, and there's like this like trickle down effect of just conversation. But what this allows is for everybody, media and just normal gamers alike, to be able to be part of that same conversation. And interesting. And I think that it benefits us in the long run, which excites me because the way that we make content, it allows us to be on Twitch and live chat with people about stuff.
Well, I mean,
the Nintendo Switch announcement is a perfect example of that was an event.
Yeah.
You know, this now creates events. Now it sucks that the people have to upfront make those investments if they
really want to get in there,
risk the gamble on it. But like, my thing is that's on them. They don't have to do that. And really, when it comes down to it, how many times have you guys been burned? When I was buying games, a lot. I mean, I bought hand over fist games when I was younger. That's the thing I want to use as a caveat. First of all, Kevin, can you find me a marker of some sort that I could use, please? Because we could just explain this in a visual very easily. Like, give me something that I can use that you can see on the camera. I don't care what it is. The instance here is that we have an ivory tower where we don't pay for a lot of our games anymore, right? And I always try to be transparent about that. So we've lost sight of that as
what $60 means.
Yeah, I know what $6 means in a vacuum, but going out there and paying for your games or whatever is a different thing, a different beast than getting most of your games for free, which we do, and that's an important thing to put it out there. But that doesn't change the fact that you don't have to. Thanks. You don't have to. That's not very nice. You don't have to be like. Everyone's like, that's part of the conversation thing. I don't get it. Like I just don't like. If you really don't know if the game's going to be good, just don't buy it until you know if you like it or not. What is the big deal? Like, I don't, we wait for years for these games. You can wait a week if you are really that concerned if Dishonored 2 is good. And that's the only thing I'm trying to say. Like, everyone's trying to pass the buck, and that's fine. And I'm not saying Bethesda's acting in a righteous way. They're acting in a selfish way. But they're business, and that's what businesses do.
Well, to the business argument of it, right? This is actually a solution to the problem we saw so much through the PS3 generation and a bit to the PS4 generation, where we used to get games in the review embargo for these PlayStation exclusives would pop 2 Fridays before release. And what that does is fucks everything up, is what we see all the time, right? When we're like, if we're going to launch a shirt, we want you to go be able to go get the shirt right away, because in that moment you're like, oh, that's cool, I want to go get it. Whereas if you read a review 2 weeks out, 3 days out, you're less likely to remember that it's out this Tuesday, it's out this Friday or whatever. Mm-hmm. So to be part of that like whirlwind conversation that all of a sudden it is Titanfall weekend, even Titanfall's been buried to an extent of like Monday the review embargo post, but you can't buy it till Friday.
Yeah, that's a really good point. You know, the call to action is so important to be able to tell somebody, act now on this. And for the reviews to come out after the game is out, whether it's good or bad, you can get it right then.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing of like, it used to be like, okay, like I forget which Uncharted, probably Uncharted 3, because that was the one, right? The review embargo was, okay, the Tuesday morning that it's going to come out anyway. And you're like, man, that sucks. Why are you afraid? It's not that they're afraid. They want everybody to remember that they can go get this game right fucking now. You can pick this game up right now if you were waiting for reviews, you were waiting for something.
Man, very interesting. How's this coming, Cole?
Do you want to go overhead cam?
Oh, we go overhead cam?
Do you need me to do the zoomy zooms?
No.
Okay. Don't touch it, he says.
So this is it. Sales time, right? Week 1, your sales start to crescendo. Week 2, they start to fall off. The review window used to be right here, meaning that this now could be, if the reviews are bad, this establishes a new norm that's more like down here, right? Mm-hmm. And then it falls off like this. Now they're trying to get the review window in here. It's too late. They've already crescendoed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This, from this perspective, makes perfect business sense. We're fighting against a rational way to try to make money from people. Now you can try to fight that, right? You can try to fight that, and there are really great ways, and I think ways that might be Pyrrhic, but are ways that you can fight. And I said already with the media, I would say like if you're not going to give us the games early ahead of time, then we're not previewing your games. That might hurt us, but if everyone got together and did that, that would hurt the company, right? It's just that no one can stand firm on this. It's the same thing I always said about punishing publishers. You didn't like Mass Effect 3's ending? Don't buy EA games.
Yeah. See, I think the impetus is on the consumers here, honestly. Because what you're talking about with the media is what Gersman was talking about with the backroom bullshit. That's backroom bullshit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm every game site's different, every company's different. I'm not trying to put them in, but for us, right? Like, if it was, if we were super offended about not getting the games way early, I would still say, well, let's preview them. Let's do this. We're trying to provide a service to our audience. This is for our audience. It's not about that. We've had plenty of things we don't talk about. Not even, I don't think here, but like a little bit here, where we've been mad at a developer, or not a developer, a publisher that has been weird to us or whatever. And IGN happened all the time. There was something you didn't like somebody, or this had happened, da da da. I don't want to take that out on the consumer. I don't want to take that out on who I'm doing, right? If I had a falling out tomorrow with the Lego people, but I still like the Lego games, I'd want to talk about the Lego games. I'd want to serve that need for people.
I respect that. I do agree with you that there is more of an impetus on the consumer.
The consumer, if you guys would wait and you did stop pre-ordering, and you not only stopped pre-ordering, you tweet, like when somebody, developer publisher X tweets out, hey, pre-order now at Games, you're like, I'm not going to pre-order. I wouldn't pre-order this until I'm not buying this till I see a review. And people actually did that and stuck to that. Right. And they saw what you're talking about here, where all of a sudden there was a new timeline, right? Where sales come out and they start here or whatever, and then they are this, and then the reviews happen, and then, you know what I mean? Like if the reviews window was still there and they were able to see a real change, then it would push people back maybe.
I agree. I think that this goes back. I think pre-ordering hardware is totally fine. We talked about this in the past. I think you should pre-order hardware because the hardware is the conduit by which for years you will play your game. So I don't think there's any shame in that. But in the digital ecosystem, and in an ecosystem where frankly games are not rare, even in retail, you don't need to pre-order a game. Now some people use the argument that, well, I get a discount at Amazon, and for that I say you get that discount for 2 fucking weeks after the game comes out. So no, you don't have to pre-order the game. You know, be patient. Stop giving these publishers money before they even give you anything. Like, I don't understand why people keep doing this. I don't get it. So you can get some fucking skins, you know, that they'll probably just sell 6 months later anyway. And so you can be the beta tester before they get their first patch out, basically, because that's what games are coming to. It's just, this is a wake-up call to the gamer. And I agree with you there. The publisher is doing what's rational for the business to do. The media is wringing its hands because it hurts their business. In the middle is a group that can actually affect some sort of change. Stop pre-ordering your games and stop put your money where your mouth is. If you want fewer bad games and you want publishers to take you seriously, stop forking your money over hand over fist. And that's exactly what I said on Twitter. I'll critique or criticize almost any game and get shit for it because these publishers know that a lot of gamers will buy fucking anything. And that's the bottom line. Bethesda looked at the things and was like, you will buy it anyway. You know? Mm-hmm. And we're not going to have this bad review effect that gives us a new lower baseline. Now we destroy the baseline because of the trend that games sell most of their copies in the first 2 or 3 weeks anyway. And then it's over. Then the game might as well be dead for some games, you know? Being part of this conversation to me is dubious. It's weird. And people that are afraid of spoilers, just avoid them. You know? Like no one's walking up to you at your cubicle and being like, Nathan Drake's dead. That's not a real spoiler, by the way. You know?
Or is it?
You find that on YouTube, you find it on Twitter, or whatever. If you're really that afraid about it, just stay away from those places. You know what I mean? So people have to take a little bit of responsibility for their own actions and how their own actions led to this. And by that I mean Bethesda's statement. Like, this didn't happen in a vacuum. This happened. Bethesda's not dumb. Pete Hines, not a dumb man. You know, they look at the marketing, they look at the way games are affected, they look at Doom, they look at Skyrim, I'm sure is going to be great. I'm sure Dishonored 2 is going to be just fine. So, and I mean that from a critical standpoint. And they look at traditional reviewers and they look at who's selling their games and who butters their bread, and it's not GameSpot. You know, they do more harm than good to them. I'm not saying that they're doing a service to gamers. What I'm saying is that I think the effect is way more neutral if you would just act as a rational consumer. That's it. They're not saying like, the statement doesn't read, if you review Skyrim Special Edition, you're going to prison. You know? It says like, you're just not going to be able to review it in a way that you are used to, which is at embargo, which is at release, fast, with a fast and quick kind of nature. Now you just have to be more patient. That means that you all out there have to be patient. We have to be patient. Everyone has to be a little more patient. It's not ideal, but it is the situation we're finding ourselves in. And as we said, they're not the only ones doing it. 2K's doing it, and they're not even talking about it. You know, Bethesda, as you said, at least they admitted that that's exactly what they're doing. And maybe they'll stop. Maybe they'll then analyze the data from their 3 releases this year and be like, this for Wolfenstein, for Evil Within and 2, whatever. They're like, maybe we made the mistake. We can maybe button it up a little bit. But I think that people are acting, I think that the service to the readers thing, I think that that's fine and that's good and that's where it is, but I don't think that's really at the heart of why media is upset. The heart of why media is upset is because it cuts them out, it hurts their business, and it hurts their clout, which is how they make their money. And I wish that there would be a little more transparency about that. And Bethesda should maybe on their point be a little more transparent too and be like, reviews hurt us. But at the end of the day, they want your money. So just stop giving it to them. If you really hate this, what Bethesda do, don't buy Bethesda games. But it's hard to put your money where your mouth is, where you're in such an enthusiast kind of ecosystem and sphere that like you'll just a lot of people just buy anything. And so it takes a little bit, you know, you got to This is a wake-up call. This is a klaxon sounding very loudly in everyone's ears about where pre-order culture got us and where these early embargoes got us and where all these kinds of things and the game of expectations and the game of entitlement. And not entitlement on the form of gamers and not entitlement even on the form of publishers, but an entitlement on people getting games earlier and being the tastemaker and losing that power.
Yeah, it's being democratized, right?
That's where I stand.
This is the change we're talking about, where it is moving to the Twitch person. It is moving to PewDiePie. It is moving to someone who is waiting with the pre-order already done. The countdown clock hits, and their Twitch stream is live, like we've done with WWE or Batman Arkham Knight or something, where it's like, that's how we'll jump in, and you can see at your own discretion if this game's good or bad.
And it goes back to the point I was making. Uncharted 4 is one of the great games of the year, right? Arguably the best game of the year. Uncharted 4 is still great right now. It's just as great right now as it was when it came out in April, right? Like, this conversation, this rush to be first, all these things doesn't make Uncharted better. You know, you being an informed consumer waiting for those reviews makes you smarter. That's all. And so you have to keep those things in mind. I took a little while to watch Stranger Things, right? It was just as good as the people that watched it the first night it came out. You know, so I just don't understand that particular argument of being part of the conversation, of having to play it first. I saw a thing on PlayStation Profiles. I was looking at the World of Final Fantasy trophies where a guy wrote this post being like how he was confused and didn't understand how people got the game early and how he doesn't want to play it anymore because he wasn't part of like the first wave of people competing for the Platinum Trophy. And I'm like, that's so dumb. And everyone's response has said that, but in my mind, I'm like, that is stupid. You either enjoy the game or you don't. The game is a fucking disc or a piece of digital media. It's not reacting to the time in which it is played. And I just don't.
I think we're getting into a different topic here because I think we should put that down because I don't necessarily disagree with you in terms of Uncharted 4 is just as great now, but being able to talk to everybody in that water cooler moment is cool too.
Absolutely.